request of anyone, if you guys would just like to chime in on any of the conversations throughout this entire event, or if you have any questions, please feel free to just chat it in our chat box, because we have our other representatives from our communities to address any of your questions or concerns, or even us, the hosts who are talking right now. So we can do that. And also, again, please be active in the chat. We'd love to know that we are not just alone, whether it's physically or here online. So there. Yeah, we got so much more people saying hi. Thank you again. Thought y'all will be sending over food. You know what? I wish we could. Maybe we could exchange, sir. Sending over food, but we can't send over food right now, but we can send our virtual presence and our wonderful voices to join you for this afternoon. So thank you guys so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. As a special treat for our community members and for those who bought tickets already, we actually prepared 2 pre-conference tickets just for all of you. So if you guys don't know, the pre-conference is for our UXPH Conf 2020. So let's just give like a virtual round of applause for that. And yes, we prepared 2 pre-conferences, and this is part 1. So stay tuned for the next one if you enjoyed your experience here, or you want to share it to your other friends who, I don't know, are just curious about this or are actually in the UX industry. So today we'll be having a screen side chat regarding the basics of UX. And then later on, we'll have representatives from the Friends of Figma PH to share more about that amazing design tool.
Exactly, Rain. Especially in this time, we've seen how much interest in the UX industry has grown. So we prepared this pre-conference event to help beginners have a better understanding and grasp of what UX is, essentially, before our main event this November. So again, as Rain said, guys, better check that out. Make sure you get your tickets fast. So for more advanced members in the audience, feel free to pitch in your ideas and share your thoughts on the different questions. Again, as Rain said, either through the chat box or by unmuting yourself to share your comments later on. If you have any questions, please type it in the Q&A area. I think we have a link for that on Slido.
Yes, we do.
On the chat in a bit. And we'll be sure to ask as much as we can with the time that we have provided. So as this is a screen side chat, the floor is literally open for all of you to chime in and say what you know about the topic. So open discussion, we're here to learn from each other, and we're so excited.
All right, so without further ado, I think it's ready. It's time for Stella and I to introduce the first part of our program. And I mean, it's no surprise since they're kind of here with us, joining us on screen already. So just let's take a guess as to who I'm introducing na lang for those who are watching. So our first panelist is a UX researcher. Started as a marketer and graphic designer back in college. She ultimately decided to venture into UX when she realized that giving justice to people's stories through design experiences. And she's a jack of all trades, and this girl loves exploring the applications of UX and HCD in various fields, such as organizational culture and development and youth.
Hi everyone.
Hi Pia.
All right, so our second panelist also began her career as a graphic designer, but this time for a startup. Mars, I gave it away, sorry guys, no guessing for the term.
It's fine.
Mars, lovely Mars Kenite, recently moved to UX and is currently working as a UX and UI designer at 3Bar Solutions, while also being an active member of UXPH. Mars is passionate about learning and helping others. She believes that through learning and collaboration, she can provide better experiences to different kinds of people. So a virtual round of applause, please, for our dear Mars. Thanks for joining us today, Mars.
All right, and of course, hello, Mars. Thank you. And we didn't have to guess that. Now, yeah. I'm not. Siguro, sige, guess nyo na lang kung sino to, okay? So she is our third panelist. She's our third panelist, and she is a digital designer from 360 Pixels, a user experience design studio with offices in the Philippines and in Singapore. She has worked with a number of startups and agencies for the past 6 years, so she's really experienced with shipping great digital products and services. She is also the co-founder of UXDVO, and so if you come from that area, please do join that community as well. So guys, without further ado, let's give it up for Shannon. Woo!
Hello, hi everyone.
Hello,
Awesome.
hello.
Great. Well, no more room to guess. We have one last panelist. So our final panelist, we have John Kenneth Wellan, a senior UX designer working in Arcanics. Though he started in print roughly 20 years ago and has really gone around as he experienced illustration, graphic design, web design, and development, he has fully transitioned for some time now as a UX designer. Today, Kenneth has been practicing UX and UI design for both web and mobile apps for around 7 years already. So everyone, please welcome Kenneth. Thank you for joining us today, Kenneth.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
Yes, thank you. So that's all our panelists for this afternoon. But again, if you have any insights that you would like to share, feel free to do so via our chat or indicate that you wish to share something so we can call you. So call a friend if you want to really just share it. Again, it's a screenside chat, open floor. So that is all. All right. So to the panelists, I hope you are all doing safe. I hope you're all great. How are you guys?
All good.
Is that a good?
That's good. Naman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Medyo
Nakapag-lunch na kayo, guys. Same. So like, I think the lighting's gonna get really weird maybe in some places if you're using natural light. But I hope you're all doing good, and I hope you guys had lunch already. So thank you again, of course, for agreeing to be our panelist in this UX Basics talk. We're excited to hear whatever nuggets of wisdom that you'll be sharing in just a few moments.
So let's start with our first question. We'll take it away. Rain.
Yes.
Pass the mic on to you. What's our first question? Should we go UX basics, starting a job in UX? What are you doing?
So let's do UX basics. Actually, I want to ask the audience: is there anyone here who is like the first time you're hearing about UX? So therefore, you joined this event. Like, just raise your hand or something. It's not Aldrich for sure. That's not it. Ano po ang UX? I know. I can't. I will not answer that. I will leave that to our. I will leave that for panelists. Actually, let's
start with this question. Actually, we can start with this.
Yeah. Any of our panelists who wants to answer that? The best answer wins applause.
Virtual applause. Don't forget.
Yeah.
So I guess phrase that question as what is UX and how is it different, I guess, from other design disciplines or those that you practiced previously?
Okay. Sige, I'll go first na lang then to start off.
Go Mars.
Thank you. For me, my own definition of UX is an everyday life experience. Why? Because from the term UX, from user experience, you as a user or a person doing that experience, it means that you're doing the product of what you can do on that design. Like, for example, we're using a mouse, our mouse. How can I do on that product? On that, what can we do on that specific device? Or bakit ganyan yung design niya? So, UX means for experience of a person or like mga products na in everyday life. So, more on human-centered design na we can experience the product itself. So, for me, it's everyday life experience ko naman yung nakikita natin. Yun yung UX na ginagawa na. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng UX. Yeah. It's like, yeah, how do we make it easier to use? Kumbaga.
Great, great. Well said. And we got any other personal definition of UX?
I'll go. I think UX, it's we all know design. It's like designing, creating intent, right? So I think UX, it's getting a deeper dive into that intent, like getting a better understanding of how something should be built, getting an understanding of your audience, who are using it, and then hopefully building something that would serve those people.
I just like to add, as someone who was a visual designer, I think a misconception with UX is that it's just the buttons, the colors, the text that you see. And going into UX, I learned that that might be a part of it, but another side of it is thinking about how people use the everyday objects, the apps, the websites, and thinking, as someone who makes these things for them, how can they make it so that they would have an easier time, a more delightful time, a better time to achieve their task? So I think instead of it being just something you look at, it's also how you use something.
Yeah, what everyone else has said is basically it. So design is this thing where we try to solve a problem. And I guess the UX part of that is how is that problem solved, right? Or I guess from a user perspective, a company has tried to solve a problem. How have they solved it, and what is my experience using their solution? And so, like what Pia said, it can be the visual, but it's a lot more than that. It can be even before they interact with the product, like the branding. How did they come? How did they first hear about your company? That's part of the UX experience, right? That's a touch point in the user journey, for example. The branding, how do they, when they enter your store, right? That's part of their user experience. How they interact with your kiosks, how they download your app. Is it easy to download? Is it hard to find? Stuff like that. So that doesn't have any UI, but it's still like part of this user experience.
I think in my addition lang, it's more of the behavior of the person and how they using the product. So, kumbaga, one of my takeaway from our speaker for the conference, Kevin Leah, if you don't understand psychology, you don't understand UX. So it's more on human behavior as a person and the other person, not just as a designer, but also the person you're going to build or design the product. Ano yung pagkakaintindi mo sa kanila? And paano mo sila intindihin? That's one of the main skills or understanding you need to know na para malaman mo kung ano yung pwede mong maibigay na better solution on that problem. Like for example, observe them why that person has a problem on that services or that problem. So as a designer or as a UX designer, iintindihin natin sila kung bakit yun yung nagiging problema nila. Find the root cause of that problem and ask them why they're having a problem with it, and then you will see the root cause in every asking of question or every observation of that question. Yan, mas maintindihan mo din kung ano yung user experience na pwede mong ibigay dun sa problema ngayon. Kumbaga, how do we make it easy to use that products or services? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Mark.
Great.
Wow. I think that wrapped it up perfectly, don't you? I love how all of you guys connected it to user-centric approach, no? So that's that's I feel like that's the underlying thread here with a lot of your responses. Rain, next question, over to you.
Yeah, Pia mentioned something earlier about like what people think that UX is just the little buttons, that this is the color, you know. So how is UX different? Like, how is UX different from like other design disciplines? And I think the common misconception is like, is UX the same as UI? Is that that same thing? So I think there are a bunch of people asking that in their heads. They're just too shy. So anyone want to answer that?
I can go. Well, okay. Go ahead, Mars.
No, sure. Oh. You go first.
Yeah. So UI is for sure. It's a part of UX. So UX is sort of like the umbrella term, or the umbrella discipline, and UI is like a single facet of that discipline. But there are a lot more. So before you get the UI, how do you decide where the buttons go in the first place? You know, before you decide what the buttons look like, how do you decide what buttons to put there in the first place? What functionality to put there? So a business analysis goes into it. Information architecture goes into it, right? So UI is definitely a part of it, and I think why people have this misconception that UI and UX are sort of interchangeable is because UI is the most it's what they interact with all the time, right? Yes. Nobody sees the wireframes, nobody sees the sketches, nobody sees the journey maps or the research. All they see is the UI, the sort of the end product. And so when you say this thing has good UX because you like using it, most of the time it's the UI that they're directly associated with that. So that's why that confusion is there. But for sure, UI is a very important part of UX, but it's just one part of it.
Yes.
Yeah, true. Anyone else want to add?
I have something to add. An analogy I like to use when explaining UI and UX to people who are not very techy, I always go to explaining, for example, Jollibee. So let's say the UI is the storefront, how the Jollibee place looks like, what's the color of the walls, the door, the entrance, exit, ganyan. Like, so for example, we all know Jollibee's colored red, ganon. And then the UX is the your experience from entering the restaurant to ordering, to eating your food, to leaving. So that's the UX part of it. So it's Jollibee UX. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, like colors are a part of it because we all know Jollibee uses red very prominently, and then the psychology behind that is because red makes us hungry. So that's also part of the UX of the store. So yeah, that's an example I like to use when explaining.
I used to work in advertising, and there was this old I don't know if it's urban legend, or there was this old belief that warm colors go well with food brands because they trigger sort of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
What Shannon just said.
You trigger hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabi kong sponsored lang tayo, no? Pero sobrang perfect na.
Jollibee.
Literally transitions into it. But unfortunately, we're not. That was super good. I'll take note of that, though, just to simply explain that to non-tech people. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's great. Okay.
To expand on Shannon's example, the most important part of UX there isn't actually visual. It's the taste.
It's the chicken.
It's the chicken. It's what's in the burger. Yeah. So, but people probably don't think about that. They're probably thinking Jollibee. They think of the mascot, and the branding.
Yeah. It's like when you're passing by Jollibee, you guys notice that it always smells like chicken. even when you're just passing by. So that's part of the experience then.
There is a waffle place here called Belgian Waffles, and I think they
They do that.
intentionally
Yeah.
burn coconut oil so that it smells so good.
I think what's so interesting about this discussion is that it shows that principles of UX can also be applied in physical services. You know, it's not always just about and web apps. And like you were saying, Kenneth, galing na nga, that there really is an intersection of UX and UI because, like you guys said, the visual, the front face stuff is a reflection of the UX, no? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool. Okay. Sorry, Mars, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. In addition on what they said a while ago, just want to clarify lang din na UX is beyond the screen. So hindi lang more on swipe left and right. It's also a service that we can experience on that product. Example, stoplight. What is the UX or the UI of that stoplight? When you are a driver, we see red, green, yellow, diba? So what does color means? Those three colors. So kapag nag-go ka, meaning yung experience mo, move forward ka. And then kapag red, mag-stop ka, di ba? So, ano dun yung experience? Ano dun yung UI? The UI was the stoplight, and then the experience is yung kung paano paanong information yung binibigay ng visual sa'yo, yung gagawin mo. So, parang, in short, hindi lang sa screen mo nakikita yung UX and UI, but also around yung surroundings mo na hindi mo lang alam na ginagawa mo yung product and services na yon. Like sa simple stoplights, hindi mo alam na nag-UX ka na. Na yun yung experience mo dun sa stoplights. And the stoplights, yung actual product ng stoplight is the UI or the interface na nakikita mo. Ayun yung additional ko for that. Okay. I hope that understands medyo kragi.
It's okay. Okay, so we've got people asking over Slido and in the chat as well, actually mentioning rather that some of them are just hearing about UX for the first time, or they're shifting into the UX industry. I'm sure this is another question some people have been asking, that is there a specific field required to enter into UX? Like what if I or the people out there are in the field that is super unrelated as what they might think to UX?
I think none. Actually, none. No specific for me. Kasi when you become a UX designer, you need to understand the industry you're in. Like for example, you're a UX designer, but the company you're working is in insurance, and then you don't have really background about or idea about UX. You need to understand the industry and study what's the industry behind it, and from there, mas natututo ka on the different the different industry. Then I think we need to be flexible then when it comes to building up products and services, lalo na kung iba-iba din yung clients na hinaharap din natin. So
I don't think
being flexible.
I don't think with what Mars said, being flexible is very important, especially if you're a UX designer. You will, I think, work in a lot of different tech industries. Like for example, for me, I've worked in like fintech, real estate, medicine. Then so it's all different. Yeah. But as long as you're willing to learn, you keep yourself up to date with industry standards, it's fine. Like ako din, I didn't even really graduate So I don't have a degree really, so I just self-learned. And yeah, as long as you keep learning, I think it's fine.
I'm with
Yeah.
I'm with Shannon. I didn't graduate either. I took like 3 years of architecture and 2 years of accounting. I like to joke that I started with the A's and was working my way down. But yeah, so UX is, first of all, people need to realize that the term UX is quite new, but the practice is quite old. And it doesn't even start with the tech industry. It started with, if we had to pinpoint where it started, probably it started with like the old HCI or like the old human factors in the 60s and 70s where they were designing planes and things like that, right? So UX is an old industry, but UX as a term, UX as an industry word is quite new. And basically anyone from anywhere can get started in it as long as you have this desire to solve problems and empathy. Empathy is the most important thing, where you have to strive to understand your users' experience. You have to know you have to sort of try and figure out how they feel, how they, how they would respond to certain things. And once you figure that out, then UX becomes sort of second nature and almost instinctive in that sense. So you can be a teacher. Copywriters are a great start. Copywriting is a great start for UX because that requires engagement with an audience as well. I guess in the tech industry, if you are looking to go into the tech industry, a good background is graphic design. I think most of us might be graphic design oriented, but it's really not a requirement. I mean, it helps, especially when you're doing UI, which is like the most visual part of UX, branding, things like that. But it's not a requirement. Yeah,
Just
research is good, like academia. Yes, go ahead, Pia.
Just to like echo what Kenneth said, he said that visual designers might have an edge, or like it might be easier to transition as a visual designer. But personally, I think it might be a comfort to all the beginners here that UX was my first job and it wasn't my course, and I only self-learned in college. And I pulled a lot of the mindsets and experiences from like designing props for my org, interviewing for my other org, um, asking people around like what makes their life easier or harder. I think a lot of what helped me in my UX job right now was that little thing of asking people around, and it wasn't necessarily a field that I came from. And I think it's also why I like to approach UX from an interdisciplinary approach. So I really like Shannon's analogy with Jollibee because it shows that UX isn't just limited to like apps or websites, that you can really apply it anywhere you're interested in.
One place I'd like them to apply UX is basic infrastructure, like public infrastructure. So, you go to other countries and you use their public transport system, and you get kind of jealous. Where, why is it so easy here? And then you come back here and it's like, why is it so difficult?
Yeah, actually, somebody had a question on our Slido. Somebody asked, how can UX help the government? So now that you brought that up, of visiting other countries and getting frustrated, slightly frustrated here. So, okay, how can UX help our government?
We should establish a department of user experience.
Amen.
That's it.
That's it. Case closed.
That's it.
And they should be in charge of everything. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. But they should be consulted on everything. But seriously, street signs. I mean, you don't have uniform street signs. We don't have uniform street signs, right? Sometimes they're hand printed. Yeah. So you don't have this consistency. So like you don't know if that street sign actually means what it says. Bus stops, things like that. I don't know. There's a lot of ways. Design thinking will also factor into it. maybe more than UX. Design thinking and UX together seriously need to be integrated into a public service, or public infrastructure.
Yeah. Just to add.
Easy to have. Yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
Yeah, I think what Kenneth said, design thinking, when you're a designer, iteration, like constantly improving is a very big part of it. And then also putting your users first or your customers first. I guess if the government really has the best intentions or has the intentions of the people in mind, that shouldn't be a problem. But
notice the word if there.
Yeah.
I don't want to get cynical though, but Shannon's absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I feel like we have a whole an actual keynote specifically just for that.
yes.
Yes, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think there are a lot of ways the UX can help. I guess just with maybe like contact tracing lang for COVID people or people who have COVID. Like there's a lot of ways na having a good user experience would help contact tracers. Would make it easier for them to like find people,
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe like a concrete way. I think it's just reaching out to your nearest LGU, asking them if there's anything you could help with the problems that you see around you. And that could be an entry point for bigger problems to solve in the future. I think showing first the value of UX to people who might not be familiar with it would help them understand why there is a need for it in the first place. And then eventually you can onboard other people and create that department of UX.
I love that, Pia. Starting small and slowly that snowballs into a mindset. And like what you said about how, looking for people to educate, maybe for lack of a better term, educate or share at least what UX is all about. Business leaders, gatekeepers, people who make those decisions. That's awesome. Kenneth, you touched a bit about design thinking and UX. Care to talk a little bit about that intersection or what's going on there? What is design thinking? Let's share that with some of the audience today.
Design thinking. That's kind of a loaded term, isn't it? Right now. Well, not loaded, but it's kind of a buzzword. I don't know. I guess design thinking for me is really about. So design, as by definition, is solving problems. And I mean, design. The goal of design is to solve a problem. That's exactly what design is. Otherwise, it just becomes art, right? So design thinking is really sort of this framework. I guess we call it a framework. I don't know if it's a framework for solving problems, sort of like the scientific method, but not as rigorous. There's a bit of hand wavings there, and then UX, how it interacts with. So I think I read this somewhere where design thinking focuses on what the solution is, right? Like you have a traffic problem, your solution is probably better traffic lights. Or like your solution is probably traffic lights or bigger roads. You have a traffic problem or public transportation, and user experience is how to implement that solution. So design thinking is what is the solution to this problem, and then UX is how do you implement that solution, right? And so I guess then design thinking and UX overlap so much that it's almost easy to just consider them one and the same thing. A lot of the things that you practice in design thinking are also practiced in UX. Right?
For that. I'm looking at the Slido right now and I have a really, really interesting question here. So earlier you guys were talking about all the things that a UX practitioner does, no? Like architecture, psychology, like what you said, Mars, wireframing, testing, test engineering, it encompasses so many things. One of our questions is it necessary that I know all of them or that I know all of these concepts? Like, is it necessary to tackle all of them? Is it possible to specialize? Sorry, I just threw that out there. Like, Actually,
Yeah.
potato and answer the question. But very interesting, no? Because you guys have explained that there are so many facets of UX that make it a very complex, but complex, interesting, interesting.
I'm reading the chat, and Elimar Abao, am I saying that right?
Yes, Sir Ellie.
Makes a very good
Sir.
makes a very good point where they say actual design thinking focuses on the problem first, and he's absolutely right. Sometimes people can fall in love with their solution and think, this is how I'm going to go, and they just run with it without questioning those things. And he's absolutely right there. You also have to ask, are you solving the right problem? And then only then do you find the solution. So thank you, Elimar.
Yes, thank you, Ellie. Yes, words of wisdom. Salamat. Ikaw pala, Stella. Ikaw pala nag-chat. Sorry. Chat ka pa. Okay, sorry. Okay, great. Going back to Stella, your question that you just threw out there. Who would like to? Who would like to?
Okay, guys, here's a pretty intense question. Throw it to you guys.
Let's toss it at sino ba? Si Pia. Go.
I can go. In terms of knowing everything, I would say that go with the part of it that you feel most in tune with, whether that's visual design, the UI aspect, if that's asking people what their motivations, their aspirations are, which is the UX research. If you want to make the high level flows of what will people do after, what people will do, I think you can try it out. Try everything in mini sizes, and then after that, when you find something that you kind of like doing, just try to do more of it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a commitment. You can definitely pivot after 3 months, after 2 weeks, if you don't like it. And eventually you'll just go around the wheel and develop as a designer, but it might take a little bit of time.
Yeah. That's very true. As in, guys, just take bite size. If you hear any big terms such as design thinking, you're like, oh my God, what is that? And you have no idea what it is. Quick Google search, or glad that you're here in our pre-conference and you're actually listening to actual practitioners in the industry to help clarify what it is. But yeah, I definitely agree with that really taking bite-sized portions of just this industry that you want to, or maybe will shift in, just to get a taste of it. Anyone else who wants to add to that?
I'll go. I guess if someone who wants to try it out, I highly recommend trying. There are a lot of online that you can try out just to get a feel of what the UX process is like. So that way, if you're just still interested, you haven't decided yet, you can get a feel of what it is like, and maybe later on you can decide what to focus on. Mm-hmm. But I also think experience is the best teacher. So that's why if you can if possible for me, because I learned UX on the job. So when I started, I started as an illustrator / front-end developer, and then I just sort of learned on the way. So thank you sa boss ko. So yeah, and then thinking on process, taking the time, learn, discovering. Kasi sa akin, when I had a project, I would try to research what I need to do to get to this solution. And that's where I discovered I need to do this kind of research pala. I need to do these kinds of interviews. So that's where I learned how to do those things. So yeah, it's a very dive in and just learn it kind of approach.
Yeah. Aside from doing the aside from of course doing the self-learning, we've got a chat from Aldrich. I understand. He said, start with community, Lou, and learn from everyone else in the same boat. Yeah, so it's great because if not everyone is really good at self-learning, and if especially in these times that we're just stuck in our homes and it's hard to really just physically see people. Thankfully, we have events like this or communities of ours that people can join and really just feel free to ask like right now. So to again just quick shout out to everyone for who's active on our chat via Facebook and our bevy. So thank you guys for joining us. So I keep cutting everybody. Anybody else who wants to add their thoughts on this?
For me, I guess reading books and articles can help us develop our experience and knowledge about UX, and then on how we can solve the problem itself. From the case studies we can read online or articles, and the books we can learn from the authors or the psychologists or designers like Don Norman on other experienced designer. I guess from there we can learn and improve ourselves, and from that learning we should apply as well on that particular articles and
I love that.
books. So yeah, more on reading and talking to people. Kumbaga parang teach while you learn. Kaya nga ang way of growth natin as a designer and as a person as well. Not just as a designer but also as a person.
So
sorry, go ahead, Kenneth. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So reading is good. Getting info is good. But I also agree with Shannon that you should also just go ahead and do it. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think that's the one thing. If there's anything that if there's anything that I wanna tell someone who's just starting out in UX, is just don't be afraid to make mistakes, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Those are the two things that are required: make mistakes and ask questions and learn from them.
I love that.
And then you'll be okay.
In addition, in addition on failure or failing is one of our most number one teacher on doing the right problem improvement. Kasi when we fail fast, we learn even more, and we can grow even more. Rather than everything, but parang yung thinking mo, nag-stuck na on doing a successful products, rather than how can that product be a failure. Then, so parang nagsiset na rin siya sa person natin, as a person, ang ego natin as well, sa person, kung palagi tayong nagsasuccess. Though I don't say na dapat lagi tayong mag-fail, but kumbaga parang it's a reminder of us na nagiging parang magiging enemy din natin is our own ego when we experience too much of success. That's rather great, than the failure.
No, I love that note of mindset, Mars. And like what you guys have been saying, just to echo Kenneth, just do it. And Shannon, like go in, head deep dive. I love that.
Yeah.
So to cap off, I guess, this segment of UX basics, I'm going to ask you guys to do one thing. And those in the audience, you might want to pick up a pen or get your notes on your phone for this. But I want you guys to recommend a resource, a book, a person to follow, a podcast, video, whatever it is that would come up. We're coming up with a starter kit for our audience here. So plug in any resource or figure that you think is super important for anyone starting out. Something that helped you maybe in the past. I've got my pen ready. So. Mars, you started with Don Norman. I think great. Go ahead.
Yeah. I can recommend Don Norman book, The Design of Everything. The Design of Everyday.
Everyday
I forget the word. Everyday things. Sorry. The book of Don Norman, The Design of Everyday Things, and also Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday
Yes.
as well, and Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, Thinking Without Thinking. So there's a parang test on that book on how will you identify the name of the person if it's a girl or a boy. Kumbaga parang binigay dun sa book na yan may ma-realize mo na yun pala yun din yung nagiging thinking mo on that name. So yeah, check it out then. And also Hook by Neil Rail. One of the great book then to read out. And yeah, when it comes to person, the normal one, and for me it's Kevin Liang, who is a speaker also to our events, UXPH this coming November. So yeah, and Chris Do, one of I can recommend.
The future.
Yeah, the future. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I hope people took note of that. Okay, how about you, Kenneth?
When I was just getting started on UX, and back then I was a graphic designer, and I was doing freelance work, so I was also doing a little bit of development, front end development. A resource that really helped me was alistapart.com. I don't know if you guys, I don't even know if they're still, I think they are, but they have a lot of good articles about UX and design in general. But I think more UX. Another resource is also actually go to the Nielsen Norman website. They have a lot of published articles for free that you can. Yeah. So they also have their tests and they have their certifications. But they also publicly just publish their stuff for free. And secondhand research is where I work actually, because we work with remote clients. We work with people in Europe and Australia, and so there's not a lot of opportunity for first-hand research. There's not a lot of opportunity for me to gather, the intended users, gather a sample size of them, put them in a room, do tests, and so a lot of my research is actually secondhand. And there's absolutely no problem with that. But obviously, first-hand research is great, and first-hand research will actually contribute to the community. But if you can't do that, just take other people's research and then just absorb them. And Nielsen Norman, the website for Nielsen Norman actually has a lot of articles published. So going there is gonna help you. And for people to follow, I guess, Don Norman is already mentioned. So Jacob Nielsen, his partner. Father of usability.
I can go next.
Okay, go.
For me, as someone who gets really intimidated by official sounding, I said it took me a long time to get courage to attend the conference, like that kind of thing as a beginning. Mm-hmm. I started a lot with product design first, so I watched videos on explaining how things are made. Bringing it closer to real life, like something I use now and why was it made the way it was. And then for the official answer, Kringle mentioned before in our work chat that there's a list of resources by H. Locke. I've sent the Notion page in the chat, and it's a long list with different tags on what topic you might want to read. So you can check that out depending on what you want to get into first.
I saw Stella's face light up. Just knowing that there's this resource there. We say long list. My goodness. All the people who love just like
for that. Gotta cap my Facebook and open this Notion file, right? Thanks for plugging that in, Pia. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So Shannon?
I think most of them have mentioned like all the great resources. I'm like looking at my phone right now looking for resources. But yeah, I think on YouTube is a very good resource. Like there are a lot of design YouTubers like Charlie Prangley, Femke, Adrian Smart. I think Alexis then is has his own YouTube channel. So yeah, there. And then Twitter, you know, a lot of designers are posting like their thoughts. I think for me, it's not really like right now. I don't really read books anymore, so I just read a lot of articles, and I just follow a lot of designers on Twitter and see what they post, what stuff they link there. So yeah, follow designers on Twitter if you can.
Yeah. Interesting thing about YouTube, it's not just the design channels that actually contribute. It's also like the other channels, like the engineering channels are very good. Some of the math channels are really good because they help you understand just a different way of thinking about things. So yeah, even channels that do literature and history are really good resources, just because it gets you out of that headspace of just design. And the more things you have, the more experience you have, because we are in user experience. So the more experience you can sort of absorb from other people that you don't necessarily experience firsthand, you can still apply, you know.
And that has a lot to do with what Theo was saying, no? About how it's an interdisciplinary thing. You have to come into it with an open mind, willing to listen to other people's ideas, thoughts, perspectives. Awesome. I'm just going to plug in what other people in the chat have been saying, guys. Ellie mentioned the 99% Invisible podcast. Roman Mars, amazing stuff. Thanks for that, Ellie. IDEO from Angela. Thanks for that, IDEO. Great company. Aldrich recommends the mom test by Rob Fitzpatrick. 1,000%. So sounds like a big deal. That's what that is. 1,000%, guys. An awesome link from Interaction Design Foundation, if I'm not mistaken, no? So guys, just plug in if you guys have your own resources as well. This would be awesome. Kind of have this pool of links and other podcasts, anything else. So awesome.
Yeah, and for those who are actually trying to gather all of these and bookmark them, save them onto your notes, your notebooks. If you guys are having a hard time copy pasting for some reason on the chat, or if you're viewing from our Facebook, well, like I mentioned, we do have our Facebook, which is live streaming this event. So if you need to recap what, if you need to, revisit the I can't think of the word properly, but if you need to hear again what our panelists and our speakers have, of course, have been talking about and these resources, feel free to just visit our Facebook page which is UXPH official, or just UXPH, just to replay this live stream, of course. So again, this is just going to be flowing with more
resources.
Resources. It's going to be great. All right. So we are, oh my gosh, time is flying by so fast. We are down to like our very last few minutes for this portion with our panel. So just to close this panel, Laura, last words for you guys. What are your tips for anyone who wants to get in or shift into the UX industry? I know you guys have said a lot, but just your final thoughts or tips.
Everybody on this chat right now, I will bet you that you are already doing UX at one to some degree. You probably won't have the title of a UX designer, but you're probably already doing UX. If you're solving problems, you're 99% probably doing UX. So don't be intimidated by titles. Just like what we said, go ahead, dive in. Yes. Read more if you want, but also don't be afraid to just sort of experiment. And also, I would like people to be sort of, once they already have, enough experience, or like to be advocates of UX design and design thinking in general. And that just grows the industry more, and that grows the practice more. I think that's it. Just.
Yeah, I think also keep an open mind. People have a lot of experiences. Sometimes when you're a designer, we tend to have bias, even if we don't do it. Yeah. So yeah, just keep an open mind. Ask a lot of questions, even the questions now you think might be obvious. Ask them anyway, And then join communities. It's very important that you join communities, meet other people, meet people who have mindsets or way of thinking from the way you are thinking. Yeah.
For me, what can I advise, not just for the designer, but to everyone, is to accept constructive criticism. Because in everyday life, we can deal with other arguments, or we we're not really, we know, kung parang hindi natin lahat alam. May factors na alam natin and someone alam nila. We can gain knowledge from them, and then maybe that person can gain knowledge from you. So it's like a vice versa. So accept constructive criticism is a way more we can we can have as a soft skills as a person and as a designer. So yeah, yun yung mas advice ko for everyone, not just for the designer. Accept constructive criticism.
Start with something you're passionate about, then take the leap, but no, do it alone. You can always find like a buddy somewhere who you can bounce off of, like, oh, what does this mean? Or what do you think of my design? And I think that doing it with someone will make the transition easier and will make it less intimidating.
Yes. So just like you said, just join a community. I mean, we've got a couple of communities literally who made this event made this event possible. So for those who are in our chat or joining us on our FB Live, and for some reason you haven't liked or joined the groups of our communities who put this together, please do join. Do not be afraid. It's free. We won't charge you anything. Like, gain a new acquaintance, get a new friend with us. All right. So thank you. Actually, Stella, do you want to add anything, or?
Honestly, I just want to say thank you for your time, Pia, Shannon, Kevin, and Mars. You guys, Kenneth, sorry, Kevin, sorry. Thank you so much for your time and for answering these questions, and thank you to the audience for sending in your questions, and for those who have been active. We see you guys. So thank you so much for contributing to this awesome screen side. I learned a lot. I don't know about you guys, but it was awesome hearing your perspectives from super different areas in the industry, and how there's so many underlying themes of mindset, resources to look at, how to approach UX, and what it even is. So that's amazing.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess with that we can close this screen side chat. Yeah.
Virtual applause. Please chat. Please chat applause. Again, this has been a great refresher for me too, and of course for those who are actually already in the industry. I'm not even in the industry. I'm just helping the community, guys. See, it's great. It's great to just be part of community and really just to get to listen to people, like, of course, our panel practitioners right there, and be able to apply whatever we've learned in our own industry. And who knows, we could just be shifting into UX and we don't even realize it. Just as Kenneth mentioned, if you're solving any problems, that's great. You're starting and you just don't even realize it. So again, thank you guys so much to our wonderful panel, Kenneth, Pia, Shannon, Mars, for spending your time here with us. We hope you guys have learned from each other and enjoyed your time here. So thank you again. Ano ang daming applause. Dito pa namin.
All right, so that's it for our UX Basics Screenside chat. We hope you, the audience, we hope you guys learned a lot, and there were a number of things discussed that you could apply further for your own UX career. So awesome.
Yes, and of course, like, also thank you again also to everyone who asked questions and share their insights, for just, filling us with more information. That's really, really great that you guys are actively participating. So Kenneth, Pia, Shannon, Mars, if you would still like to join us for the rest of the event, please feel free. Join us in the chat. Stella and I will be moving on to the next part of our program. So thank you guys again.
Thanks, guys. It was fun.
Guys,
Thank you.
awesome. Okay, so
Thank you.
like I mentioned, we are shifting into the next part of our program. We'll be having a workshop. What? We'll be having a workshop. So continue the idea of sharing about the basics of UX. We have two core members of the Friends of Figma Philippines who will be giving us a walkthrough of how to use Figma to create your wireframes, mockups, final UI. What are those terms? Well, don't be scared because they will be explaining that in this wonderful workshop.
All right, so to introduce our speakers, I hope they're ready. We're gonna get the drum beat going, all right? Get the virtual applause ready, guys. So our first, our first workshop speaker, all right? No guessing because we can't see anyone here, but our first workshop speaker is Andra Serdenia. Andra has been in the UX industry for the past 15 years now. He has led teams and has worked with numerous freelance designers and indie developers through his career. He's currently working as a consultant now as he continues to design and manage digital products. So virtual applause for our dear Andra. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Andra. Good to see you again. All right.
Hi. Sorry.
Hello. Welcome. Okay. It's not a Figma shirt. He revealed it to us earlier. I'm sorry, it is a Figma shirt.
It is.
It is. We'll pretend it is. All right, so of course, joining Anja, our next workshop speaker is Paul Sabandal. He is a seasoned product designer and developer who has worked in various startup companies that focus on legal technology, loyalty rewards program, as well as fintech. So Paul is currently the head of product in Quickwire, a company that provides real estate solutions for brokers and property developers. Outside work, he has been helping out the Friends of Figma Philippines to organize meetups, workshops, and collaborations since 2018. So please give a virtual round of applause for Paul.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Paul. Good to see you too. And finally, we will be passing on the mic to the final workshop speaker, who is Jelvin Basse. He is Basse Base. Basse. Did I get that right? Sorry about that, Jelvin. He is currently a product management consultant at Talina Venture Labs and is one of the community advocates from Friends of Figma. Jelvin has been in the industry for more than 7 years, wearing different hats along the way, and has done work ranging from design, development, research, and management. That is awesome. So let's give it up for Jelvin, guys. Virtual applause once again.
Wow, hello everyone.
Making it work, right?
Wow, I got pressured by the both of you because the both of you are super awesome hosts.
What are you talking about?
Aw, thank you.
Super huge thanks for passing down the mic. So yeah, pretty awesome panel a while ago. It was good entry level information for those who are starting and pretty awesome refresher for those who are experienced. And just what they mentioned a while ago, just we could start doing things, right? So
yes,
once we start doing things, so we might ask ourselves, what tool are we going to use? So this is where we come in. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jelvin. I'm from Friends of Figma, and super huge thanks for the introduction. And we'll be moving on to something more hands-on, so we can get our hands dirty and start na kagad, diba? So,
all right. I think Ray and I will be signing off, and we'll see you guys later for more friends and for more kalokohan and whatever, and virtual applauses. So,
tossing the mic to you guys. So goodbye. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. See you later. So huge thanks again for to Stella and Rain. With us in this session is Anjo and Paul. So if you have any questions in between, make sure to or just type it in the chat, and we'll be tracking that. We'll be tracking that down so we can have some questions answered in between and after. We'll be having a Q&A. So yeah, I'll be passing on the mic again to the stars of this part of the workshop, Anjo and Paul. So take it away.
I'll let Paul take the first.
Hi. Okay. Sige. Hello, guys. Good afternoon. Thank you, UXPH, for a warm welcome and also giving us the opportunity to share how good Figma. So, by the way, my name is Paul again, and I'm going to do some quick introduction how Figma, what is Figma, and also how good the tool is. So let me share my screen first so that you can check. slide. I think I'm gonna ask the common question when it comes to remote working. Are you guys seeing my screen now? Please type yes. Yes, thank you, Kringle. Okay, so yeah, before we dive into the actual workshop, before I pass the torch to Angelo, I'm gonna give you a quick glance of what's Figma. So yeah, what's Figma? But before introducing the tool, I'm just going to ask like which tool are the most or you're most familiar with. So most of it, you can say it's XD, it's Sketch, Photoshop, or AI before, or PowerPoint as it is for prototyping and also for presentation. But these tools most of these are you're going to buy and also download and install, and also you're going to upload your design again to some file sharing application. So you can just give it to your stakeholders. But what if there's a tool which is free, browser-based, and you can share your design as easy as you can? So that's where Figma comes in. So in Figma, you can design, prototype, and collaborate all in the browser. Yes, all in the browser. So most of these folks nowadays doesn't need to install certain applications that can add an additional space on their storage. So primarily Figma can give you the chance to design and collaborate inside the browser. Who can benefit Figma? Of course, we as designers, and we can collaborate our designs there. We can do wireframing, UI design, prototyping, and everything that involves the UX design process. Stakeholders, where you can share your designs to make it, or to give them a chance to add feedback on it, as I said earlier. Also, the developers, where Figma can give them a way to inspect the design as it is, where they can also copy paste the styles of a certain UI. So there's some use cases that I want to share to you guys this afternoon. First, we have wireframing, brainstorming, and also, yeah, I'm using Figma for my slides as well. So as you can see, you can create your slides and presentation inside Figma, and of course, prototyping. So in wireframing, you can do your low fidelity wireframing inside the Figma, and do a quick or change your workflow when it comes to UI design by changing into the high fidelity. Next, since Figma is very collaborative, you folks in the company, like your CEOs or chief marketing officer and other design colleagues, can do brainstorming in there, where you can see them, like, for example, their cursor. And also, yes, prototyping, we all knew that. Figma can give you a much great experience when it comes to showcasing your prototype to your clients or your stakeholders. So a lot of things that you can do in Figma will be tackled more later by Angelo. So yes, I said it's free, but there's some limitations when it comes to on that part. So in free, you can have like 3 projects and also like the 30-day version history of it. And the free version is just up to 2 editors. I suggest that you should upgrade to the professional version, where you can do unlimited projects, unlimited version history, custom file permission for private projects, invite-only projects, and shareable theme libraries. So there are much more bigger features that Figma can offer when it comes to organization price. Basically, it's much more centralized theme, private plugins, yes, shared fonts, and also design system analytics. So you can view more of that in the figma.com/pricing. So yeah, you might be asking, like, who uses Figma? Of course, we know a lot of big companies in the Silicon Valley as of the moment has been using it. I haven't included their logos here, but Spotify, Facebook, Google, and also Dropbox can already using Figma as well in their design process. So I might check it out at Figma.com also. So we are from Friends of Figma Philippines. So we are partnered up, or we are being part of the group of Figma community, which is based in the US. So we're just representing Figma here in the Philippines to evangelize how good Figma is. So you can check out our group at facebook.com/FOF Philippines. So yeah, the overview of the workshop will be, first we're going to tackle the fundamental tools, the short Q&A afterwards, the using elements, collaborating, simple prototype, and we're going to have some simple exercises and more Q&A afterwards. So yep, if you have any questions, you can also add it up in the Slido, which is I think it's on the chat box. So yep, feel free to add questions right now. So, thank you. I think, Javin. Yeah. So I think most of you guys are just typing XD and Sketch.
Yeah, everyone's using
Okay.
different tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So I'm gonna stop.
we're gonna thanks huge thanks to Paul for giving us like a quick intro of what Figma is. There's a lot more to unpack here, and what we're gonna be showing today is just like the surface, just the surface of everything that we wanted to share. So
Exactly.
if you have any questions, I'll be sharing the Slido link again in the chat. So yeah, we're ready to move on to the hands-on portion. So if you have a Figma account, actually, you can open it up and check the file that we'll be sending so that you can interact with us. But basically, what we're going to be sharing is like a huge, not really, actually, it's an introduction and how Figma works. So take it away, Angelo.
Right, thank you guys.
Angelo. Yep.
I'll start with just a quick walkthrough on what you will see when you first open Figma. So if you haven't signed up yet, just go to figma.com and let me share my screen here. Oh, hold on. Oops. Okay, something happened there. One moment. Okay, it doesn't work. Hold on.
Yeah. So while we're fixing things up, I just want to ask, like, what are the tools that you folks use? I mean, is it a company that is it a tool that is required by the company? Because I'm gonna be going into a work that requires to use XD, but I'm gonna still be using as my how do you call this, as my main tool, because yeah, it's just been pretty useful for me, and I've been using it. Well, not longer than Anjo, but I've been using it since 2017, and it's been an extremely helpful tool for us in terms of presenting our prototypes, especially the very quick, low fidelity wireframes. Yeah, because with the prototyping tool on Figma, it's actually easy for us to do like the basic clicks, and it's more helpful than using something like Keynote or Microsoft PowerPoint. But yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. Can you see the screen now?
Yep.
All right. I don't know what happened, but here we go. I don't think I can share the figma.com website for some reason, but if you don't have an account yet, just go there, click sign up, and it'll be a straightforward affair. You can sign up using your Google account or your email. And the first thing you'll see once you've gone through that is this workspace. So it's a workspace with all your, I'm sorry, it's the file browser with all your files here. You probably have a few templates provided by Figma, so you can start just playing around. And to the left is your navigation. So if you have teams, you will see your teams on the left panel. Otherwise, you'll have your basic navigation here, recent, draft files, community, etc. There's a lot of things to explore here, but we'll just go ahead and start creating a file because that's where we want to play with. So that's pretty fast, actually. It's almost instant when you click Create New File using the plus button. It may look different on the desktop app, but here I'm using the browser, so it's in the upper right corner. And once you do that, you see your workspace. All right. So this is your Figma workspace. This is what you will be working with for most of the time that you're using Figma. There's 4 portions to this screen. The first is the canvas, which is this currently gray empty area in the middle. You have your left panel to the left and right panel to the right, of course. And then your top bar, which is your universal toolbar there. The left panel has your layers and assets panel. We'll get through the assets panel later. And it also has your pages panel here. By default, you only have 1 page, of course, but you can add pages here, as many as you want, and just navigate there. You can use your page up and page down buttons on your keyboard if you have a full keyboard to navigate through these. Since there's nothing else in the file right now, you don't see anything else in this left panel. But I'm going to switch to a file with contents so you can see what it looks like. So let me just quickly try screen sharing again on a different file. I hope this works. OK, something's not working again. Hold on. OK, I think I know the problem. Anyway, here we are. So here's an example file with contents. And you'll see I have a number of pages here already. I can resize that panel. And then I have here below that the layers panel. So this is your typical layers panel. As if you were familiar with other design tools, you can nest things, layers inside frames, groups, and it just keeps going and going as complicated if you have a complicated file. You can show or hide layers here using these icons. Oh, there you go. Let's show that again. You can lock your layers, expand them like you've seen me do a little earlier, or rearrange your layers if you want things to go to the top. For example, if you want this chat view to be at the very top, you can do that. And now it's right at the very top of everything, or just put it back there where it belongs. So you can rearrange things. And you can also rename your layers. So if you want this to be called a bottom bar, you can double click that layer, and that will allow you to rename things. You can also rename things in bulk. So if you select multiple layers, say you want to call these all bars, you can just press Control-R or Command-R, I believe, on a Mac. I'm not sure. You can check those later. But you can press Command-R, and it will give you this batch renaming tool. All right, I'm not going to do that for now, but you can do it yourself as you try Figma. So that's your left panel. Let's go ahead and talk about the top panel, or the top bar. From the very left, the first thing is the universal menu. This is where everything lives in your interface. So you have your file options, object, plugins, etc. What I really like about this menu is that you can just, as soon as you click that menu, this search box is highlighted. So you can just start typing things. So for example, I have multiple layers here, or multiple frames, and I want them to be packed horizontally. So I can just open the menu. I can also use the shortcut Control/ to open it for quicker access, and then just start typing the command that I want to use. So I want to use pack horizontally, and then press Enter. Oops, sorry, wrong selection. Let me just select the things I want to pack first, and then use the shortcut, start typing, pack horizontal, and there you go. So it's an easy way to access lots of commands. So if you use a lot of tools repeatedly, and you don't have, and Figma doesn't have a shortcut for that command, for example, you still get easy access by just starting to type. OK. We can also try that with the outline tool, for example, or outlines to view the outline view, which has its shortcut. But yeah, in case you forget those shortcuts, you can still easily search for the commands. Right, and then next to the universal menu, or the search menu, you have your tools, your creation tools. So you have your move tool. It also houses the scale tool. There's your frames and slices, shapes, pen tool, pencil, text tool, and yeah, all these creation tools. So we'll go through each of those later, but for now, let's talk about the other things on the top bar first. You also have here your comment tool, or comments view. So if you click that or press C, you will be switched to this commenting interface. So right now there are no comments, as you'll see on the right panel, but I can just click here and insert a comment for my coworkers who I might share this file to later. So I'll start leaving a comment there. This looks good. I can even mention a friend, but I'm not going to do that because their email will show up. So yeah, and now your comments appear on the right panel, and then you can reply, you can resolve this comment, or copy a link to the comment even and share that to your friends. So that's the commenting tool. Another collaborative feature here is this. You'll see my avatar on the top right part of the toolbar. So many terms, I'm getting confused. OK, so top right part of the toolbar, you'll see my avatar. If you have peers, there you go. We have Paul on the file as well. You'll see that Figma's collaborative feature, which allows you to share a file and work on the same file with your friends. Hi, Paul. We see you. There you go. And actually, you can click their avatar and just follow what they're seeing on their screen. So if Paul zooms out, for example, please zoom out, Paul. There you go. My screen will change to what Paul is seeing. This is great for collaborating or discussing files without needing to share your screen to the video chat, for example, because sometimes it's just easier to be on the same file at the same time when you're like rushing through a project, for example. So that's your multiplayer feature. And then we'll go through the other stuff later, like the sharing and presenting view. But to the other end of the toolbar is your view options. You have the typical zoom in and zoom out controls. The zoom value is highlighted by default when you open it, so you can just easily type a value and enter. And there are other fun features here as well. So You can enable rulers if you need to use those. These are in pixel values, units. You can enable outline view like we did earlier, which is great for seeing exact measurements and just seeing layers that are currently not in view when they are cropped by your parent frame. There's also this, I like this pixel preview feature, which is great for designing icons. For example, if you want this to be pixel perfect and aligned to the pixel grid, this arrow, I mean, you can enable your pixel preview to 1x, for example, and you'll see that that end there aligns perfectly to the pixel, which means crisp lines when viewed on a 1:1 resolution monitor or display. 2x is usually the retina display type of thing. So if you're maybe drawing illustrations or you just need a preview of what it looks like on other devices, you can play with pixel preview. There are other features here, but we will get through them as we go deeper into the discussion. All right. We have notes here. OK. So that's our view options. And now let's go to the right panel. So the right panel is typically your properties panel. Right now, we have nothing selected. So it's showing us the properties of the file itself. So this is the background property, which is your colors, background color. And then I do have styles created in advance in this file. So you'll see text styles readily available here, and it can be reused across the file. I also have grid styles, and I also use the plugin for this file, so it shows up here. But when I have other things selected, so that panel changes to display properties of whatever I have selected. So here I have a frame selected, the chat view frame. So you'll see I have properties for the frame, I have constraints, etc. That's under the design tab, by the way. We also have other tabs on the right panel. One of them is the prototype tab. We'll go through prototyping at the last part of the workshop. And then hold on. All right. So yeah, this is the prototype tab. And then we have the inspect tab. The inspect tab includes a way to view code and copy them to for whatever purpose you might need them. So for example, we have this frame selected. We can copy this. And this is what it will look like in text when you paste it to your favorite text editor or your coding app. You can also do that for the content itself. So here, if we have text selected, you can actually copy the text inside that, that layer and share it with your friends or your coworkers. Below, at the very bottom of the inspect panel, we can view sample CSS code or iOS code or Android. OK. And by default, by the way, the inspect tab is what users will see if they don't have edit access to your file. So, so yeah, this is what they'll see if they only have view access. If you share a file, to your friends and they only have view access, they'll see the Inspect tab. They can click through the layers, but they won't be able to move things around and edit them. So yeah, when you have objects selected in the middle, you can actually see red lines as well here. I'm not pressing anything here. I'm just hovering through the other layers, and you'll see that when the Inspect tab is activated, you automatically get these red lines. Right. One thing that might be useful for other peers or maybe your developers is that they can enable grid view as well. Just clicking layout grids here, and this will show them the grids that you've set up on your layers or on your frames, so they can see maybe some design choices you made, or if you are following a CSS grid, for example, this could be a reference. Okay, so let's go back to the Design tab, because that's what we're going to use for the next parts of the workshop. Hold on. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the tools on the top bar. So like I said, you have your Move tool selected by default. And then we have the Frame tool here. This is what we will use most of the time to define the bounds of the screen we're designing for. So since Figma is primarily a UI design tool, you'd probably want to design on screens, for screens. So when we have the Frame tool selected, or you can press the shortcut F or A on your keyboard, you can just start drawing your frame to any size you want. And now you have this artboard of sorts to place your objects into. You can also just use the Frame tool, the right panel when you have the Frame tool active, to start inserting predefined frame sizes. So say I want to design for an iPhone 8. I just select the Frame tool, click iPhone 8 here, and we have an iPhone 8 size screen. We have a few questions, so maybe we can have Jelvin come in.
Cool. Yeah. So we have a couple of questions, but I'll leave the other parts for later because there are some there are some questions that are related to a later topic, and we could talk about it later. So just a couple of things that I want to bring up. There's a question. Is it possible for a person who's using a free account to collaborate with someone using the pro account?
Say that again, sorry.
So is it possible for someone using the free account to collaborate with someone in a pro account? Because that is a yes. That is a definite yes.
When the file belongs to the person in a pro account, they will have a limit of the number of editors allowed in the file. So I think that's 2 people, 3 people?
2 people, yes.
2 people,
so,
all right.
Yeah, just to expand the answer. So yeah, a person who's using a free account can definitely collaborate with someone who's using a pro account. And it depends on the privacy of your file. So if you open it up to the person you invited to collaborate with your file, then definitely they can move things around. If you're using a team library, however, like what Andrew mentioned, you can have up to 2 editors, and subsequent editors will have like a charge, like what Paul mentioned. Yeah.
Yes. So that's a weird arrangement actually. When you're using a free account and you have a file in your drafts, you can have as many editors as you want in the file.
Yes.
But yeah, when you, as soon as you upgrade, that you get a limit.
Yes.
Because of some extra features that will need some permissions first.
Cool. There's another question. You touched on frames for a little bit a while ago, and there's a question. When do you use frames versus groups? This has been a question that a lot of people have been asking with people. So if you can expand on that.
That's actually a really good question. We'll get through that in more detail as we go through the properties panel, because the main difference between a frame and a group is in how you are able to control the constraints of the things inside of the group or the frame. We'll go through constraints later, but basically a frame is parallel to a group in the sense that they put things together in some sort of folder for contents. But the frame has a fixed dimensions, fixed size, and the group, on the other hand, uses the placement and the location and size of the objects inside it to define its size. It's a little difficult to understand without a demo, so I'll give you an example in a bit.
One more question before we go back to the hands-on. This is a tool-related question.
Sure.
Is it possible for us to sync Figma files to Abstract? So if you have, do you have experience in Abstract?
I don't have experience with Abstract. Maybe you can answer.
Maybe I can chime in on that. So Abstract is mainly a version control tool, right? So it's mainly a tool that syncs with Sketch. And I don't think there's an integration with Figma and Abstract as of yet, because the main value proposition of Abstract is version control, and Figma itself has version control. Like what Paul mentioned a while ago, version control can go up to 30 days in your workflow if you're using a free account. But if you're using a pro account, you get to keep the version history. So the short answer is no, unfortunately. Yeah. Paul, do you have a...
Yeah, well, I'm just going to share something that I think it's an alternative for Abstract. I posted a link at the chat group. Relay, it's called Relay, that graphics, a Relay for Figma, where I think it's much more similar to Abstract, where you can organize your assets as much as possible for your version control. So yep, you might check it out. So yeah, I tried it once, but I haven't used it for a long time. But basically, Figma does have like a version control, so I just keep my sane towards that. So yeah.
Cool. So there are a lot of other questions, and I want to leave the meaty parts of the questions at the end. So I think we can go back to doing the hands-on part.
Okay, hold on. Let me just share my screen again. There's some weird screen sharing thing happening here where I need to be... Okay, there you go. It needs to be a specific screen size before I can start sharing my screen. Okay, anyway, here we are again. All right, by the way, I want you to follow me in the file. So we're gonna share with you a link to the file. Anyone with the link can, wait, let me just move this out to my drafts first. So anyone can edit with us. Oh, sorry, Paul. All right, there you go. So we're going to share a link to this file so you can follow through with what I'm doing and try it with me in the file itself. So the link is in chat right now. You can open that and join me in this glorious getting started with Figma file. OK, there you go. People are coming in. Yay. Question mark people. Who are you? Yeah, you might show up as anonymous and not have edit access if you don't sign in with Figma first. So if you want to edit with me in the file, you will want to sign in first so you can practice with me here. So yeah, we've done frames. I will just ask you to please avoid my screen area, but maybe you can draw below my area. There you go. And follow around as we go through the rest of the tools. So we're going to start drawing shapes now. Yay. OK, let me just delete my frames here. Hello. And then we'll start drawing shapes. All right, so let's start with the rectangle. That's fairly straightforward. Just click and drag, and you have a rectangle. And you have lines, arrows, very basic stuff. What fun thing I want to point out here is that with Figma, you actually get these direct manipulation dots when you hover on a shape that you just draw. So for example, a rectangle would have these dots on their corners. And you can actually just drag these direct manipulation dots and modify the shape of the shape directly on the canvas without having to enter specific numbers, etc. You can do that as well. So every shape has their own different dots. So a circle tool would have this arc dot controller, which allows you to create maybe pie charts or donut charts or graphs. And you'll notice that even if I change the size of that circle, this bounding area here is still preserved. So meaning this is still a circle shape. So if I want to bring it back to a closed circle shape, I can do that easily by just dragging things. See? You see that? Ain't that fun? I like that. That's also true for stars. So you have a different set of controls, like the number of sides and corners, change the ratio. The polygon tool allows you to create different shapes with different number of sides. And so if you use that, you can actually come up with these kinds of things, which I have here as examples. So you can use that to create charts. So for example, this chart here made for AccuBattery is made out of just 3 duplicates of circles, the same size. And then just different properties for each circle. So one of them is gray, one of them is green, different sweep value here, etc. So you can also create iOS-shaped icons here. I'm on the tools page, by the way, you guys, if you're not seeing where we are. And then you can also create something like this, which is a complex illustration, but made easier by just drawing a star and changing the number of points and changing these values. So those are some fun shape tool features that you can use. And then next to the shape tool is our pen tool. So pen tool is what it is. So much like in your vector drawing apps, what do you call them again? Vector editor apps. You can just click and drag to create curves, or just click for multiple points to draw straight lines, and then close it up if you want to create a shape. So yeah, and when you start drawing using the pen tool, your top bar actually changes to this edit mode view. So you'll have your pen tool still here, but you also have the bend tool to start bending your lines by just dragging it around to whatever shape you want. And then the fill tool here, or the paint bucket, I should say, is used for adding a fill. So this is great for illustrations as well. When you're done drawing your shape using the pen tool, just press Enter or click Done at the top, and you'd have your shape. You can edit that again by pressing Enter again. And yeah, there you go. It's nice to know also that in Figma, you have what we call vector networks. So unlike in other vector drawing apps, these points in Figma can actually be reused to connect more lines than one to that point. So if I start drawing again using this point, I can connect that to the other points and connect that to more points. And everything stays connected to the same point. And that's what we call a vector network. So you can move that point around. There's only one meeting point there for all these lines connected to it. It makes drawing icons much simpler and easier. There you go. So that's what I used to draw this chair illustration here. So vector networks allows me to keep this as one vector layer on my file. Yeah, which in other tools, you can't really do this without creating new layers for every closed shape that you draw. So there's that. And then there's also the pencil tool, which you can just use to draw with like you would on a pencil. I use this on a laptop with a stylus to directly draw on canvas in Figma. Or if you have a drawing tablet, one of those like Wacom stuff or Huion stuff, you can use that as well and draw in Figma directly. So it's also nice to use for illustration work. So those are our pen tools. And then lastly, the text tool, which is just a text tool. So if you click it, click on the canvas, start typing there, and you have text. That's it. All right, let's switch to the properties page in the Figma file now. OK. The file's getting crazy, but it's fun to see everyone participating. All right, let's switch to the, oh, you've got people here on the properties page now. We're going to start talking about the right panel, which is your properties panel. We'll just go through everything quickly and then take a Q&A break. All right, so like I said earlier, the properties panel changes its appearance depending on what you have selected. So if you have the canvas selected, you can change the properties of the canvas here. So we can change the color of the canvas, undo that. If you have objects selected inside a frame, you have these alignment controls on the topmost part of your properties panel. So you can align that to the left, to the middle, to the right, etc. The other fun thing here is that if you have multiple objects selected, Figma actually gives you this tidy up tool, very Marie Kondo. So you can click that, and magically all the things. Oh, no, don't do that on my file. Please copy this below if you want. All right, there you go. So as you've seen, it magically rearranges all the objects to give you this tidy layout. And once you have everything aligned perfectly, you can use these pink lines. I don't know if it's visible on the screen, but you can drag and adjust the spacing between the objects without needing to lay things out. All right, so that's our tidy up tool. You can just go ahead and explore things here. So maybe just to demonstrate here, this is a good time to demonstrate the difference between frames and groups. So right now, this frame 5 is a frame. So I can adjust, oh, let me fix that first. We can adjust the size of the frame, and that is independent of anything inside of it. But if we convert this frame into a group, which you can do on the properties panel, this group now, this layer, uses the position of the objects inside it to define its area here. So if I drag this up, the group size changes accordingly. And that is also how you will see, let's undo that quickly. And that also allows us to use constraints. So everything inside a frame will have this constraints panel option here. Right now, everything is aligned to the top left, as you'll see here in my screen share. And this is what constraint settings are by default. But we can actually change that. Say we want this orange rounded rectangle to stick to the center of the frame when we change the size of the frame. So we can just change the constraints properties here. And now that shape stays on the center. You can play around with other constraint settings. But basically, this allows you to create these nicely responsive designs. Oops, that's not so nicely responsive. But you can create these. Wait, what's happening? The constraints should be left and right. There you go. Let's undo that for a moment. Set the constraints correctly to left and right for the top bar, and left and right for these things inside the card. And now that lets you have a nicely responsive design for everything inside the frame, as opposed to this thing where constraints are not set properly, and you'll see how messy things get because things stretch or things align in weird places, etc. All right, so those are sizes and shapes. And there are many other features here that you can continue to explore, such as auto layout, which when enabled allows you to add more things to your layer and automatically have things move around when you drag around. The others are fairly straightforward. So you have your fill properties, stroke colors, effects, etc. All right, well, that's our first part. We can go take a Q&A break, maybe? Jump in?
Yes, cool. So there are a couple of questions that are coming. Just some rapid fire questions before anything else. So you can, Ilya asks, can you rename a frame? Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, you can rename a frame. It's on the left side of the panel, just what Andrew mentioned a while ago. Yes.
There you
And
go.
after, yeah. There you go. Another is any Figma plugins can we recommend for starters to play with? And if I remember correctly, we have an episode a few months back. Yeah, and I think we can share the link down the.
I don't know if it's uploaded yet. Yeah, I think it's on our YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, it's on our channel.
But yeah, one of my favorite plugins is, wait, I forgot. I use the generate styles, but we'll get through styles later, so maybe we'll cover it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Figma available for all? Yes, you just need an account. And like what Paul mentioned a while ago, you can use it in your browser. So technically, if you're using a desktop OS, you just open up your browser and create an account at figma.com. Yes, figma.com.
Yes, that's actually one thing I really like about it, because I am using Chrome OS everywhere now. I don't have Windows PC, I don't have a Mac, but I can still design in Figma.
Cool. There's another question. It's related to abstract. So if you remember the discussion a while ago, we talked about abstract uploading sketch files, right? And I'm not sure if there are any plans from abstract themselves to support Figma files. Yeah. So unfortunately, if you're using abstract, I think it's stuck with Sketch, because I think the direction that they went is to support Sketch. And actually, we can talk that later. Now let's go back to Figma. Yeah, I think we're pretty good with the questions for now.
All right.
Because I'm really excited for Andrew to share the components and the prototyping, and we'll get back to the other questions later, because it's related to that. So yeah.
All right, let's cover your. Hold on, I'm having trouble with screen sharing again. Let's cover your favorite topic on the next part. Let me just screen share again. All right. All right, so our next part is in the reusing elements page in our Figma file here. We're gonna start saving things. So once you've done pretty much styling, you've styled your text, you've created colors that you want, you probably have something that looks like this, where you have your header styles that you want to reuse across your file or your design. You have some set of colors, maybe brand colors that you want to make sure you use and that everyone else in the team uses to be consistent, that this is the correct pink for your brand, for example. And for you to be able to do that nicely, you will want to save these properties, these fill properties or stroke properties or text properties as styles. And we're going to do that here right now. So say we want to save these, all of these text styles here, currently just normal text layer. We might want to save that as a style. So we're going to do that by clicking on this 4-dot style button on the text area. You might want to see my screen for now so you can see what I'm pointing at. So you'll have this 4-dot thing here that is your text styles, that opens your text styles panel. Right now, I do have a few styles already made, but say we don't have one, we're just going to create a style here, and this comes up. So we can name the style, say we're calling it header1. Click create style, and now header1 is saved in the file, and you can now reuse that in your file by clicking again on that style button and then clicking header 1. And it will automatically apply your style properties to that selected text. You can do that in bulk using one of my favorite plugins, actually, which is called Generate Styles. Let's see if we can show you that. So I'm going to open my plugins. Oops, there it is. I have a bunch of plugins here. One of them is called Generate Styles. I don't remember the name, so, which is okay because we have our search button here. There, it's called Styler. And when I click that, it will automatically create a style out of all the items I have selected here. There. It uses the name of the layer to name my style. And now you'll see I have header 1, 2, 3, button, caption, all automatically generated for me. So that's how you save a style. And you can do that as well for everything else, like color. We can save this as our brand pink, for example, brand pink. And now we can make sure that everyone uses that brand pink everywhere. We can use that to save grids as well. If you have a certain grid that you want your other designer teammates to use, and just create that 12-column grid, for example. And now that grid is saved. And everyone in the file can use that. Perfect. The same principle of saving things that you constantly reuse is actually also perfect for things like buttons. So you probably want to make sure that everyone in the team uses the same button design, because you don't want a website with 14 different buttons. And I've experienced that before. So to make sure that everyone has and uses the same buttons, as soon as you have your design ready, you can turn that into a component. To do that, just select your button and click on the Create Component icon at the top bar. Or you can use the shortcut Control-Alt-K, but I'm going to use the thing right now. Oops, what happened here? Wait, did someone change the properties? No, please don't change the properties. Wait, what did you do? Let's undo. What happened there? Don't touch my button, please, guys. All right, so yeah, there you go. Once I click the Create Component icon, this is now saved as a component. And you'll see that indicated by this purple outline and this 4-diamond icon here. Now, once you have a component ready, every time you duplicate that thing, oops, so I can copy and paste this button here, I get an instance of that component. And when I change properties on this master component, the instance changes as well. So if I say we change the font to Roboto, all the instances of that master component or main component changes as well, and it adapts that. There are things you can do to these instances. And so you can actually override the properties of an instance. So for example, you want your button to show an error state, which is not good here because it's already pink. But say you just want that to be red or maybe green for a confirmation thing. Yeah, you can do that by overriding your properties in any time. So you can also use styles to apply the overrides. So let's use the tangerine maybe. And now we have a different button for maybe one specific use case while still preserving our master component or main component. And later, if you decide that you want to apply this style, this new color, to all of your button components, you can push your changes by right-clicking on the instance and selecting push override selecting the main component item on the menu, and then clicking push overrides to main component. And now all the changes you applied to the instance are pushed to the main component here. All right. So I see everyone's trying out changing stuff, copying instances. That's great. Okay, so now we have a few components. So say we have this dialog, outdated dialog frame here, and we want to update that using our new button styles. We have 2 frames currently. We can actually access our main components in the left panel by switching to the Assets tab. And you'll see the buttons we created, or every component we've created, are now inside of this view. You can drag and drop from anywhere. Oh, someone's changing the button. We can drag from here to anywhere on the file. Or if we want to just swap these things that already exist, we can drag and then hold Control and Alt, and that will swap the buttons to your new design. And now you can maybe change that around, hide the icon there, and you have applied your new buttons without having to manually drag things out and then back in again on the layer, on the frame. So that's how your components work. So in Figma, you can reuse things by saving them as either styles or components, and then dragging and dropping or using the styles panel to apply your saved styles. I hope that answers some of the questions, Shelvin. But yeah, that's it for our components part. You can, oh, sorry. One last part for this is that you can, when you have a professional account, when you upgrade to professional, you can actually publish your file and styles and components to a team library. So you just do that by clicking on the Assets tab on the left panel, and then clicking the library icon, and then clicking Publish on your file. So you see here, we already have a few library files published, and we can actually enable that. So we can use the styles from this file into this file that we're using. Yep. So that's the team library. We can do some questions in this topic, maybe.
Cool. Pretty awesome that you touched on the team library and the library publishing of components, because there was a question a while ago. If you have a free account, is there a limit to the styles that you can do, or the reusable components?
No, that's unlimited.
Yes.
Styles and components. So you can actually have some big companies actually have really big files of components with all the variants of their buttons. So they have inactive state, hover state, things like that for everything. And I can actually show you maybe an example here from a Microsoft file. Oh, there you go. So, nope, not this file, wrong. Oh, I don't have one. What do I have? Maybe that's it. Just quickly take a look if this is the right file. Yeah, here's an example of a file with lots of components here. So every icon here in this Microsoft Fluent file. Oh, no, that's not the right one. But in some files, so currently this is a text thing, which is not best practice, but all of these icons can be individual components, and you can just swap them into a design that you created. Maybe you have a component for all the inputs like this. This is a lot. This is huge.
That's a lot, yeah.
But yeah, some companies do need these for flexibility and all that. But yeah, or you can have a simpler library of files.
It's in relation to that, so I'm pretty sure you guys saw, I'm pretty sure you folks saw the huge file from one of the files that we saw a while ago. So a question related to that is, this popped up quite a few times. So how do you organize the components? Like, do you have a file just to store all of that? How about nested components? Like, how do you how do you sort things out? So what best practices can you share that's related to organizing all of the files?
So yeah, organizing your component library is actually a thing that is a topic of constant discussion in the community. It's so different for every company. It really depends on how you want to use your file. So in my previous company, for example, we did have an extensive list of components, but everything was in one file, and that file, so only the design system manager has edit access to that file to limit the changes in the components in the library. Nesting components is actually a nice topic we can cover. So in Figma, let's see if we can show you a file here. I'm going to go to the Figma community to demonstrate this and duplicate one of my files.
Yeah, so while Anjo is trying to find a file, I just want to expand on what he mentioned. So he mentioned a design system manager, right? So if your product scales in terms of digital product, if you're doing a design library, it's better if you have someone who's constantly updating all of those things so that you can organize things like naming convention. It's something that the design system manager or whatever title that person has, that the role that he's doing is to make sure that the naming convention, the sorting, like the overall architecture of your internal design file is up to date. So there are a lot of best practices that we can share, but it really depends on how your team dynamic is. Because for example, if you're just one designer, then you're the one who's maintaining the design file. But if it goes like 2 and up, it's kind of like a consensus of how you sort things. Mm-hmm. So I think Anjo is like has a file ready for demonstration. Yeah.
So here's an example of a material design starter kit for a library of components. So you'll see here we have app bars, top and bottom bars, different buttons, different inputs, etc. So this file is designed to be really simple and flat in terms of structure. So you'll see in the layers panel, almost I think nothing. Yeah, nothing is you call this? Nothing is grouped into categories. It's just individual components all laid out in a file. However, if you want to, say, group your dialogues together as well, a group called dialogues, you can actually rename these and use the / naming convention. So say I want, so maybe let's rename this to something else. So small dialogue maybe, just to differentiate it. So this is a flat structure, right? But you can actually group them together by adding slashes. So let's name our top level group name. What? Let's name our top level dialogue. And I can do that by just separating these by slashes. And now you'll see in my assets view that we will have, let's see here, oops, we will actually get a group. Hold it.
I think it should be this.
Yeah, here. So it turns these components into a group called dialogue. Yeah, there. So it's also, maybe it's worth noting that these things are in a page called components. And that is why you'll see in the naming here, it's components / dialogue, and then / the frame, the object name. Another thing you can do is to, let's undo that first, is to just put these together in a frame. So I'll just draw a frame around them to put them inside of that frame and name this frame dialogue. Now, since the frame now acts as a way to group things, let's change this frame background to red just so you can see it better here. So now in the assets tab, well, we still named it dialogue, but so you'll see the name dialogue there, and everything inside this frame is now grouped together here. So that's one way to do it. And this is actually how Figma intends to use the new variants feature coming very soon. I don't have it available in this file, but soon enough, you'll be able to create variants of your components. So say you have a button that you want to have different states, like a hover state or a pressed state. Yeah, you'll be able to do that when the variants feature launches publicly. Does that answer the question?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Right.
And just to expand on a little bit off topic here, but just to expand on what Andrew mentioned, if you use the beta Figma file, they usually roll out the features every now and then that you can try, especially those who are pre-announced. What happens is they announce it on their Twitter or their pages. And what happens is sometimes they roll it out a little bit early on beta. So if you can download the desktop version of Figma beta, you'll get to know like the new features that are coming out. So yeah. I think we can move to prototyping.
Sure.
Or are we? Do we have any other stuff that we want to discuss with reusable elements?
No, actually, I just wanted to show you. Do I have my screen sharing ready? Yep.
Yes, you have.
All right. I just wanted to show you a couple things before we move into prototyping, and that's the other collaborating features in Figma. So you've seen me share my file earlier, and that's actually one of the features of Figma. So sharing is just in this upper right button here, and you can give everyone different edit access to the file. You can transfer ownership of the file, and yeah, and make it a private file even for a team in your team, for a smaller group in your team. You can actually even embed Figma files into places like Twitter or Notion or Trello, and Figma will display as a tiny window in those apps. So you don't have to like take screenshots, for example, or maybe on Twitter you wanted to share a working prototype to the Twitterverse. You can actually do that with the embed thing. And lastly, oh, no, let's get back to that shared dialog. You will notice here that I can publish to community, and that's currently in preview for some creators. But if you do get access to Figma community, you'll be able to share your file or publish your file publicly to the world. Let me just show you maybe my community page here, where I've shared a few files, like a template for Google Play icons, or the material design starter kit that I shared earlier. I also have this file for, these are files that I thought might be useful for other designers, and now they're available in Figma community for anyone to duplicate and reuse on their own. The Figma community tab is available in your file browser view on Figma. And you can actually see here lots and lots of files, lots of templates, even companies like Figma. You'll see here Salesforce sharing some of their files, like Salesforce Pattern Builder. I don't know what that is. But yeah, you'll see, I think Uber, Microsoft, Google, Spotify shares some of their files. Here, Atlassian shares files, Dropbox. So many companies are sharing files that you can just reuse and copy and see, or maybe just take a look into how they organize their library or how they share files in their teams. It's really, really useful to speed up your process. There are wireframes here, illustrations, all the things. Sometimes I'm surprised about the things that you can find here. It really makes work so much faster. You'll also see plugins here, and this is where you can explore things like these instant illustrations from the group of Blush. You have icon sets, plugins for, I don't know, so many things. Drawing things instantly, organizing your design system even, tracing images from raster to vector, so many plugins. And we, like Jelvin mentioned earlier, we do have an entire session with special guests on our YouTube channel for that type of content, for plugin recommendations, I should say. All right, so that's the sharing stuff. We can, I don't know if we still have time. Yeah, let's maybe do a very, very quick look at prototyping. We'll just go back to our file there. Hello, everyone. All right, so I'll move into the simple prototyping page of our file. We have here a few screens for trying out the prototyping feature. So say you've finished the design and you want to share it, or you want to test it on your phone, or share it with stakeholders and to convince them of, I don't know, of the value of your design without having to build and code the thing. So prototyping is perfect for that, and Figma does have simple prototyping features. Simple, but quite powerful, actually. So to go to prototyping mode, just switch to the prototype tab on the right panel. Select maybe the thing that you want to have an interaction. So say this song here by Salidumay, I want that when clicked to bring us to this screen. So I'll just, oh, sorry, let me do that again. I'll just drag this node here into the screen that I wanted to go to. So yeah, and now that opens this interactions panel where we can specify the behavior we wanted to do. So this row exactly, we want to we want that to have an on tap action. And on tap, we want it to navigate to this page, so the details page. And for the animation, maybe I'll change this to move in. So I want that to slide in, and you'll see a nice preview here. For, yeah, when I click this bar, it'll slide in. So that's the prototype. Let's see how it works. So to preview that, we'll click the play button on the upper right called Present. I'll need to share that tab as well with you. All right, so this is what you'll see when you click Present. And let's try out the interaction. Click on Untitled, and there you go. The next screen slides. And then, of course, now, well, that's basically all we've set up so far. So we might want to set up a way to go back to the previous screen. And we're going to add an interaction here from the arrow back to the main list screen. Maybe slide that out instead of a slide in. Oh, slide it to the right. And that's it. So let's try, oh, sorry, you didn't see what I did, but I just added an interaction to this button. And now we have two screens that work together nicely. We can do that. There are a few more things that we can do. Well, we're gonna just try an overlay interaction instead. So we're gonna select this. Oh, sorry, hold on. Let me switch to that main screen. All right, do you see my main screen? Okay, so I've selected this menu button. I want this to open this menu when I click it or tap it. So I'm going to drag that node to that layer. And you'll see that this is not a page. So we don't want it to take over the whole thing. We only want it to appear as an overlay on top of this screen. So to do that, we're going to enable on tap. And instead of navigating to, we want to switch this to open an overlay. And it'll open that menu. Now, by default, it will overlay on the center of the page, but I want it to be like just below this button. So I'll do a manual position here, and that gives me this preview that I can drag into position. And I'll drag it there, align nicely with the other object. And what else? Oh yeah, let's enable close when clicking outside. And maybe, nah, we're not gonna add a background for that. Maybe change that animation to dissolve. And let's try it again. Let's see the preview. Switch screens again. And here we go. Do you see the screen? Yep, I think you do. All right. So when we click the button now, it will open our navigation. And when we click outside, excuse me, it closes. And we can do more of that in other ways. So I'm just going to do one more different animation here. I want this still to be an overlay, but I want it to be in the center, have a background overlay, and I want this to move in from the bottom. Let's, oops, I didn't show that screen, but here's the effect. There you go. So when we click lyrics, it, wait, what happens? Hold on, let's fix my screen share because there seems to be an issue. All right, is this a better view? I hope so. Yeah. There you go. So there we go. So we can do way more things with prototyping. And I'll just show you this example prepared by the Figma team here. I'll just show it again, and you'll see, oops, hold on. Switch the screen again to my file. There we go. So I have here a prepared smart prototype fancy thingy. And we'll just switch our starting layer to that. And let's see what it does. So with Smart Animate, actually, you can do way more fun things with prototyping. And let's switch to the prototype tab again. And here, wait, where's our interaction? Wait, what's happening? Hold on. Oh no, the prototype stuff were removed. Okay, something happened. I think I may have deleted the fancy animations, but anyway, you get the idea of prototyping. I'll maybe add a sample file here later, but that's the idea of prototyping in Figma. It's very simple. There's no fancy timeline animations if you need those. This is not the tool for it, but yeah, that's prototyping. And that's all there is for the basics of Figma. Cool. We will have an exercise right after this, and I'll hand it over to Jelvin though for some questions.
Yeah, the questions are related to what you shared a while ago, because someone asked, because someone asked if you can have multiple prototypes in one component to another. Basically, if you can have a hover state and then click it. Yeah, and actually that's something that Anjo shared a while ago, if I remember correctly. And it's, I'm not sure who asked the question, but he compared it to Adobe XD, because Adobe XD has multiple interactions that you can do. And just to compare that to Figma, Figma has that. It's a fairly recent release where you can have multiple interactions.
Yes.
I bet you can share it, like how it's being done, Anjo.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what I can provide as an example here. Let's just turn on my screen again.
Okay, cool.
Maybe, let's see. Maybe we want to use this pause button to overlay. Wait, hold on. Yeah. No, hold on. Oh, yeah. Let's duplicate the details screen here, and we want this to turn into a pause button when hovered, maybe. So let's switch to prototyping. Select that. Add a prototype thing there that allows us to change this so that on hover, maybe not hover, but well, that's a bad example, but that's what I have here in the file. So I'll just show you that it can be done. So while hovering, maybe this turns into a pause button. We can actually do that by swapping it with this view here, and maybe just turn that into a dissolve animation. So let's see the effect, if that's correct. All right, so let's see. There you go. It works. So you can add multiple states to your prototype here. And then if you click the play button or the pause button in this case, maybe, oh, sorry, switch back. Switching tabs is a hassle. Okay. So maybe you want both of these buttons to have an interaction that says, maybe just open the lyrics panel for now. I mean, it's not a good example, but just to demo the feature, you can actually add multiple interactions to every object selected. So let's add another interaction here. Oops. Oh, sorry. You can't do that when there are different properties in each layer. So I'll add it to this one first. I'll add another interaction that says on tap, we will open the lyrics overlay. So you'll see now that, wait, is there a conflict? Oh, there's a conflict. So that's not a good example. Wait. I don't have a good example, Jelvin. But it is possible. I want to answer that question.
Yeah, it's actually possible. And I'll try to whip up my presentation back then, because we actually did a prototyping presentation back then, and I've shared the links to the chat that we have on Bevy. And it actually explains how you can have multiple interactions. So for example, if you have a button.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Sorry, here. Maybe we can use this component here.
Go ahead.
So on tap, it goes to this page. But what other interaction do we want to add? Maybe on drag. Oh yeah, let's do the drag thingy. But we have to create the end state first. So this is the starting state. And maybe on drag, we wanted to show a delete thingy underneath. So I'm going to move this back. Let's just draw something behind that, like really, really quickly. Maybe have a red thingy there. So imagine there's an icon behind it. All right, so when let's go back to that thing and prototype. And now we want the drag interaction to navigate to that other list. There you go. We're going to use the Smart Animate feature this time, so that this the original layer moves, because it moves to the left, like we've done in this other view of that that screen. So let's give it a shot. I hope this works. All right, let's go back to the previous screen. So when we tap, it brings us this screen. But when we drag, there you go. Yay, it works. So that's a multiple interaction kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and that's how fast you can do an interaction on the fly. That was a question from a while ago.
Right. I mean, it's wonky because it's not a polished execution, but you get the idea. There you go. Yay. Whew. All right. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that actually answers the prototyping questions. And I believe we have a short activity that you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's bring back our hosts for that. Oh, wait. I think we have one more question.
Okay, we have one more question. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. The question was, can components inherit interactions as well? So if you're doing interactions within components, can you does it inherit the interaction that you set for prototyping?
Yes, indeed. And let me show you that as well. All right. So if you have a master component, so let's just reuse our, oh, there we go. Wow. Okay. Let's just use my ready-made button here. If you have a master, oh, sorry, that's not the master component. Let's cut it and paste. If you create a master component, or maybe let's just use the search bar, or the search. No, it's not a component. Never mind. All right. If you use a component and create an interaction from that. So let's say it navigates to this page. All the instances of this main component will actually inherit that interaction as well. Oops, unless you do an override, of course. But yeah, so this is really handy for repeating objects on your screen. So if you turn this bar here of controls into a component, every time you duplicate this screen and maybe create a different interaction and turn that into a master component, the children, the instances, will actually be inherited. Yes. Oh, someone says it's pretty better than Adobe XD. Yeah, I think so too.
I haven't used XD in a while. Yeah, but okay, I'm gonna confess. Today I learned that you can actually inherit the prototyping. It's pretty helpful. I've been doing prototypes where I try to link one page to another one by one. Wait, today I learned. Yeah.
To answer G's question, yes. These all prototypes have to be in the same page for the prototyping noodles to work.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
unfortunately, yeah. And it's a pretty complex thing to apply to multiple pages.
Yeah.
But yeah. By the way, that's a thing because you want to use Figma only for simple prototypes. If you need way more complex stuff, I don't know. If you're probably wanting a different tool because Figma does only like simple stuff.
It's actually one of the wish lists from a lot of people in the community. So let's see if they're gonna put that in their product pipeline. So we can stand by for that. Yeah.
And if you're actually looking for more advanced prototyping, we did also have a session about that recently with Nico about prototyping using Figma and Prototyper. And it's also on our YouTube channel. So yeah, that's it for prototyping.
Cool. I think we have a short activity, right? Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Let's do it real quick. Yeah.
Shall we bring back our hosts? Oh wait, hold on. I think they're requesting for a little extra time. Maybe we can have one more question or two.
Okay. Just let me check the questions for a bit.
And we can have Paul back as well if you want to bring back Paul.
There was a question about vector tools, and is the Figma Pathfinder tool the same as Adobe Illustrator? And I think that Anjo kind of touched in on that for a little bit a while ago. It's more or less the same, though Illustrator is more powerful in terms of doing vector graphics itself, but you can do things the same. And you have the advantage of the, what's it called? Vector nodes.
Yeah, I prefer Figma lately for, if this illustration will be simple, like flat shapes or only gradients, I do prefer Figma because of the collaborative features, the pencil tool, the vector networks. And there are really people who are pushing Figma to like crazy illustration, to achieve crazy illustration stuff like painterly effects. So maybe I can share an example. I saw one recently on Twitter. But yeah, let me look for it for a moment.
Cool. For those people who have any more questions, just you can just put it in chat or Slido. Yeah, we'll be slowly accommodating like all of the questions, and because most of the stuff that people asked were already answered, especially in the prototyping part. Yeah, I think Anjo has something to share. Yeah.
So here's an example of an illustration
Wow.
achieved in Figma. I think that's
in
pretty
Figma?
powerful.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and at first glance, it kind of looks something that you would do on Photoshop or Illustrator, right? But boom.
Lord. Oh my
So
god.
yeah, these are like just blur effects, maybe some masking here going on, image, lines. Yeah, you can do crazy stuff. And you'll see some of them in the, if you want to see files of complex illustrations and you want to see how it's done, there are some of those in the community.
Just want to mention Cheat pala. Yeah, she's also part of Philippines, Friends of Figma Philippines. Yeah, she's wearing a ton of hats today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not really like in the forefront, because I'm the one that's also managing for UXPH. But yeah, we learned a lot from the guys here. I hope everyone also learned a lot. If you still have any questions in the Facebook Live or in Revi or in Slido, please send them here. We'll do our best to like answer it with the time that we have.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just sorry. Like, this the question about like when do you usually create the design system or library?
Oh
Answer
yeah.
that. Sorry.
Oh yeah. It was answered in the chat, but just for everyone's context, someone asked if when is the best time to create a design library? Is it when you start doing the pages, or is it in between or during? So if anyone wants to chime in on that.
It is so different for every use case.
Yeah, because
Depends.
well, okay, for one,
maybe for a general scenario, you'd probably want to have the basics set up, like text styles or color styles. But that's a good enough starting point to make sure just there's a certain level of consistency in your design. But those will definitely change eventually. So yeah, you don't really need to set it up.
Yeah, what I do, okay, so I can answer now. When I normally design something and it's something that I know will be brought out like into a high fidelity prototype eventually, I first just start just doing stuff, like just make, but what I do is I remember to make it into frames instead of groups, because groups are a hassle to like resize and all, and components are normally frames, so they always have constraints like within components. So that's what I try to remember. And if ever I'm now ready to like, maybe I'm using the same element or the same element over and over again, that's when I will start turning it into a component. So it's based on my usage and not necessarily like, oh, I have to set up everything first and then I do it and then I do the design, or I do the design and then set up everything again and then something. So it's like it just comes up depending on when I when I need it. Because since Figma still has like some parts that are it's not doable with what they have right now. Like for example, if you're a coder, like if you're a developer, you know that you can set like different paddings for like from the left and then the right and top and bottom is the same. But right now in Figma, you can't really do that. So you just have to like make do with something. I don't turn that into a frame, or rather a component that can be easily adjusted, because it's hard to like override the styles. So now that's just like something I just copy paste. But I think with since Figma also like listens to the people, like if there's feedback, eventually they're going to accommodate some of the things that are being asked by the users, right? Like I think Andrew mentioned variants earlier.
A little bit, yeah. It's
Yeah. Yeah, so that's gonna like roll out soon. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to expand like the answer that I gave a while ago, sorry, I think I might have given a very condensed answer. But what I usually do is extended from what she mentioned is when this is something that's reusable, I make it into a component now. And what I'm trying to say is the bit by bit component that you're designing and you think it's going to be reusable, you build from that, and it but in time it becomes a library. So because when we're handling a design library, it's actually something that is alive. It's not something that you just make and you keep it that way. Because if there's a need if there's a change that needs to happen, you're gonna have to go back to the design system. So yeah.
I think I don't know. I'm just gonna share something like outside how you organize or how you make your design system publicly. Um, I'm using currently a plugin in Figma called Zero Height, where you can publish your design components and also colors and styles in the web. So here's a sample on here's a sample of our design system that we're currently doing and currently maintaining as of the moment using Zero Height. So other folks from marketing people or marketing department or other or tech department as well can view your design in a much more organized and documented. So I'm not introducing like you should move beyond to Figma, but this is how we keep our design components much more organized for public viewing. Yeah, Zero Height, ganun siya. Plug lang. Sorry.
all right. Maybe I can start sharing the activity now while we wait for others. All right. So for our community activity, all right, I think we can bring back Rain now. All right, but yeah, we have an activity for everyone that they can continue to create as we wait, as we how do you say that? As we wait, as we
Tagalog.
Okay, then, go lang.
there we go.
So we can translate.
Back,
So-
right?
So the activity that we'll be sharing is kind of like the consolidation of everything that we shared on Figma, and it's something that you can try on your own. And we'll be sharing this real quick so that you have an idea of how things work. It's basically just a quick game type of file. So yeah,
So I shared the link to the file in the comments, but I'll let Rain take away the intro to the activity.
Yes, okay. So to everyone in our Bevy chat, I'm so sorry my nephew is here, but baby appears. Please don't get shocked. So I hope you guys can join in on on the Figma file. You want to join? You can join the Figma file because we have our community activity going on. All right, so Seb, I will be reading. Okay, so we have our community archipelago happening. So if you guys can see, you can check out the different pages. There are components. And we have, basically, you will see an island, an empty island, or rather, more islands that you can add on to. And you guys will be able to decorate them. So what you have to do is pick an existing island on the map. and choose a section on the island on the top of the grid. So you guys can see that. And you should see a number of stickers on the upper right corner of the grid, and copy the stickers you like and arrange it in your island or the section you chose. I'm so sorry. Yes. I'm telling people how to decorate their island. Yes.
Correct.
Feel free to change the color and the size of the stickers. If you're feeling adventurous, you could also add stickers of your own. So if you guys are getting the hang of Figma already, please feel free to just decorate at your own risk. There's no rules here. And then, of course, make it into a component so you can share it with the community. And once you're satisfied, drag your fully decorated island onto the map and watch and have fun as our little community archipelago is built from ground up. So here, we're sharing the screen. Look at everybody. We're finally on like one world. Not just here on on Bevy, which is great. Okay, so I'll be joining you guys too in a bit. But yes, please, we would love for you guys to decorate the archipelago to make this look more beautiful with your creativity. So again, anyone else would like to add anything that the others can do for this archipelago? Not my nephew.
No, so we just encourage you all to start choosing your island here on the grid above. Put stickers, and we'll see what you come up with on the road to the UXPH conference in November. We'll take a look back at the file every now and then and see your progress. See, look, there's mountains there now. You've got airplanes flying around.
Yeah, if we're a bit ambitious, you can do the Philippine map, but yeah, it's pretty a tall order. Yeah.
So, by the way, I'm seeing others resizing the stuff. These are designed to fit the grid. So if you enable the grid view, you will see that you can just drop things in there and decorate inside of that grid. But yeah, feel free to do whatever.
All right. So yes, like Anne just said, we'll be looking back at this file all the way till when the actual UXPH conference will be happening. So actually, it's 4:58. We are very near to the end. Just a few more minutes till this actually officially ends. But I would like to take this time to thank everybody again for joining us. Of course, thank you, Friends of Figma, for helping us make this event possible. Thank you, Seb, for making this event possible and making it so much more interesting for today. We hope you guys learned a lot. Did you learn a lot? No? Okay. I learned a lot about UX, Seb. Maybe you will too in the future. I'll teach you about Figma.
Start them young.
Yes, start them young. And if you are young into the UX world, but you would like to know more, and you haven't gotten a ticket for November 14 and 15, well, we have our early bird tickets for our UXPH Conference 2020, which is happening in November 14 to 15.
Oh my God. Wait.
This is too much. This.
Yeah. So like what I'm ready to say, we have our conference in a few weeks, I guess. So it will be happening on November 14 to 15, and you can buy tickets at 2020.uxph.org. Wait. So, okay, anything else that I need to discuss, or maybe
We have another pre-event conference.
yes, we also have another So we have another pre-event conference that's happening in 2 weeks, but that one will be only for ticket holders. So if you want to be part of that pre-conference second event, you should buy a ticket. Buy a ticket to the UXPH conference, and then you'll be part. And then you'll get a link to go and watch that or attend that conference as well. Yes.
And also, I do just want to add, aside from our early bird ticket rates, which are only until tonight, 11:59 p.m. So please, if you haven't gotten your tickets and you want to get a discount, I mean, who doesn't like a discount? Please go on to 2020.uxph.org to purchase your ticket, and also check out the full speaker lineup and the full program because we already posted it.
Yes, it is now out.
Yes, it is out. And also, if you are coming as a group, virtually, if you're joining us as a group, we do have group discounts. So from group of people from 5 to 9, 10% discount. If you're a group of 10 or above, you get 15% discount on your purchase. So what are you waiting for? Please head on to 2020.uxph.org to purchase your tickets. So ayun. I think it's it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So thank you for, as I'd also like to say thank you on behalf of UXPH to Friends of Figma.
Yes.
That's funny coming from me because I am a volunteer for both groups, and that's why I've only like appeared until now because wala lang. So so this was a partner event between UXPH and Friends of Figma Philippines. If you'd like to join Friends of Figma Philippines in future events, you can also like our page at FOF_Philippines, right? Ano, Anjo? Tama ba? Yeah, underscore dots.
Or they can just go to friends.figma.com/Philippines where all the links are in there.
Yes. Then, so for Friends of Figma Philippines, there are a lot of other, we might have also partner events with like other user chapters in different countries. And those are also free. You can just freely join the chapter wherever, and we will also share that in like our Facebook groups and our other social media accounts. And since we are partnered with UXPH, we're also going to be like attending the actual event or the actual conference that's happening in a few weeks. So we have the pre-conference next week, and then after that we're gonna have the actual conference for designers as navigators of change. So go get your tickets at 2020.uxph.org. I guess this is it. Yeah. So
yes,
thank you everyone.
Thank you to everyone who attended in Bevy on our Facebook Live. And even for those who want to replay this stream, thank you so much for watching and joining. We hope you learned a lot from this. If you want to learn more, again, we will constantly plug the conference 13, 15. So thank you to the speakers. We are very, very grateful for you. And is that have a happy weekend and good evening to you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a nice dinner. Yes.
Guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.